Good morning, students. I am Geeta Bharti, teacher from district Rajouri. Today, I welcome all of you in this DSEJ teleclasses, an initiative by Directorate of School Education Jammu. Children, today's session is for class 9 students, subject English, and the topic is poetry. And today's poem is taken from your English textbook titled Tulip Series. Children, please tell me, if you go to the market for some shopping and suddenly you face a storm of wind or heavy rain, then what would you do at that time? Or I can say, what would your priority at that time? I think your priority will be to reach in a safe place. And on the other hand, if your mother goes to market to buy, to get some food for you, and same thing happen there, then what would be the priority of your mother at that time? I'm sure her priority will be to reach home as soon as possible to ensure your safety. And moreover, she is eager to satisfy your hunger because she knows her children are waiting for them. Dear students, this is the mother's love. A mother can understand what you don't say. And a mother is a precious gift that Almighty has gifted to the whole living world. माँ तो माँ होती है, माँ तो माँ होती है, उसकी हर दुआ कबूल है, उसकी हर दुआ कबूल है, वो तो ममता का फूल है, शायद तभी भगवान से भी ऊपर आती है माँ, भगवान से भी ऊपर आती है माँ, एक सच्चा दोस्त कहलाती है माँ। तुझे ना हो फुर्सत एक पल भी उसके लिए, तुझे ना हो फुर्सत एक पल भी उसके लिए, उसका हर पल हर लम्हा है तेरे लिए, क्योंकि माँ तो माँ है। Dear students, today's topic is about poetry, and the title of the poem is Cart Driver. This poem is about the love a mother has for her children. It's an airy atmosphere that creates fear and dread. It's a tussle between the love mother has for herself and the love mother has for her children. But we all know that mother's love is unconditional for her children and grows stronger over lifetime. So, what happened next? Let's recite the poem, and I hope after reading the poem, the learner identifies and appreciates significant literary devices such as imagery, and moreover, the learners should be able to understand the selfless love of a mother. So, let's start the poem Cart Driver. Let's recite this beautiful poem, Cart Driver. Children, every time I ask you to open your books, but this time I want to say you, please close your eyes and enjoy the love of a mother by reciting this poem. You can recite this poem with me, okay? Let's get started. In the fearful silence of the forest, I hear the sound of paws of a careful bulbul out in the night, shaking the feathers on his head to find food for its 4 little ones hungry in the nest. moving slowly, afraid, its ears pricked to pick some sound somewhere. With a grain in its beak, it hastens to the nest. Its twittering fledglings do not know the forest is in the throes of fear. They continue chirping. The bulbul trembles, moves with his head raised, alert, all ears. Suddenly, there is a sound of wheels, the sound of dry leaves crackling, the sound rising and subsiding. The bulbul hides itself in the bushes it sees. A bullock cart laden with goods, bullocks moving by themselves, heads down, the driver asleep, snoring, eyes covered with the end of his turban. What if the cart stumbles? The car driver's hookah overturns? The forest catches fire? It imagines the forest on fire. Wishes to run towards its nest to save its young ones, but cannot lift its legs out of fear. But cannot lift its legs out of fear. Dear students, this was our poem, Cart Driver, a beautiful emotional poem. And I want to tell you, this poem was written in Dogri, but later on translated by Dr. Karan Singh from Dogri to English. And originally, this poem was written by Padma Sachdev. Now you can see the picture of a beautiful lady, Padma Sachdev, on your screen. Padma Sachdev, born on 17th April 1940, and she is a prominent Dogri poet and short story writer. Her writings have given a new face lift to Dogri literature, and she has been widely read and acknowledged in the literary circles. She has written about women-related subjects, nature and human emotions. Her poetry is intensely emotional. She was awarded 1971 Sahitya Akademi Award for her collection of poems, Meri Kavita Mere Geet. Her short stories have also made a mark in the field of Dogri literature. Besides 5 anthologies of poetry, Padma has penned for Diwan Khana and Mitwa Ghar. She has also received the Padma Shri, India's 4th highest civilian award, in 2001. She belongs to Jammu. She is proud for us. Children, let's recite this poem once again, because it gives us immense pleasure to recite this poem. Okay? So, let's get started. In the fearful silence of the forest, I hear the sound of paws of a careful bulbul, out in the night shaking the feathers on his head to find food for its 4 little ones hungry in the nest. Moving slowly, afraid, its ears pricked to pick some sound somewhere. With a grain in its beak, it hastens to the nest. Its twittering fledglings do not know the forest is in the throes of fear. They continue chirping. The bulbul trembles, moves with his head raised, alert, all ears. Suddenly, there is a sound of wheels, the sound of dry leaves crackling, the sound rising and subsiding. The bulbul hides itself in the bushes it sees. A bullock cart laden with goods, bullocks moving by themselves, heads down, the driver asleep, snoring, eyes covered with the end of his turban. What if the cart stumbles? The cart driver's hookah overturns. The forest catches fire. It imagines the forest on fire. Wishes to run towards its nest, to save its young ones, but cannot lift its legs out of fear. So, this was the poem Cart Driver. I hope you have enjoyed this poem. Okay, children, let's understand the poem in detail. First of all, I would like to tell you that this poem has been written in free verse, means there is no rhyme scheme in the poem. The poem consists of 4 stanzas with varying lines. The length of the lines are not fixed, and this poem conveys a meaningful message to the whole nation. Let's discuss in detail. In the fearful silence of the forest, I hear the sound of paws of a careful bulbul out in the night, shaking the feathers on his head to find food for its 4 little ones hungry in the nest. Children, in these lines, the poet says that he hears the sound of the paws, footfalls of a bulbul, a careful bulbul, in a fearful silence of the forest. The bulbul was out in the evening and shaking its feathers on his head. And in this frightening night, the bulbul finds food for his young ones, and their young ones, they are hungry in the nest. Okay? Moving slowly, afraid, its ears pricked to pick. Prick. Prick means raise the ears. किसी आवाज को सुनने के लिए कानों का चौकन्ना हो जाना. Pricked. Okay? Some sound somewhere with a grain in its beak. It hastens to the nest. Hastens means to do something without delay, quickly. It's twittering. Twitter means to sing like a bird. पक्षियों का चहचहाना. Okay? And fledglings. Fledgling means a young bird that has just learned to fly. Do not know the forest is in the throes of fear. Throes of fear means experiencing or doing something which is difficult or unpleasant and painful. They continue chirping. The bulbul trembles, moves with his head raised, alert, all ears. Now, in these lines, the poet says the bulbul is slowly moving out of fear. It has raised its ears, चौकन्ना हो जाती है वो, because of the sound it has heard from somewhere. The bulbul with the grain carrying in it hastens to its nest. She wants to go to the nest without any delay. So the fledglings make a series of short, high sounds in the nest, and without knowing that their living place is forest, that their forest is in danger. They don't know. They continue to chirp, but the bulbul continues to tremble out of fear. She was terrified. The bulbul carefully moves with its ears raised and remains itself on a complete alert. Clear? Let's move. Suddenly there is a sound of wheels, the sound of dry leaves crackling, the sound rising and subsiding. The bulbul hides itself in the bushes it sees. All of a sudden, there is a sound of wheel in the forest, like this. Then there is a sound of dry leaves crackling. Crackling means series of noise. The noise of dry leaves. You can hear the sound of dry leaves. Okay, and you can the sound rising and subsiding. Here the bulbul hides itself in the bushes. Now all of a sudden there is a sound of wheels in the forest. The wheels of bullock cart also produce a sound of dry leaves crackling. अभी अभी आपने वो आवाज़ें जैसे सुनी तो ऐसी आवाज़ें वहाँ पे आने लगी. And it is a sound that grows and then becomes less powerful. Okay students, let's recall the poem and try to answer these questions. Now the question number 1 is, who is shaking feathers on his head? And your options are Bulbul, Bulbul little ones, none of the above. Yes, Bulbul is the right answer. Now the next question is, who are hungry in the nest? Bulbul, Bulbul little ones, none of the above. Yes, Bulbul little ones is the right answer. Now the next question is, why does the bulbul hide in the bushes? Yes, try to answer this question. Bulbul hides behind the bushes because it doesn't want to be noticed by anyone. Bulbul is scared and gets terrified of hearing the sound of the wheels of the cart. Okay, let's read the next line of the poem. A bullock cart laden with goods, bullocks moving by themselves, heads down, the driver asleep, snoring, eyes covered with the end of his turban. What if the cart stumbles? Stumble means fall. The cart driver's hookah overturns. The forest catches fire. It imagines the forest on fire. Wishes to run towards its nest to save its young ones, but cannot lift its legs out of fear. Dear students, in these lines, the poet says that Bulbul saw a bullock cart loaded with goods and the driver is sleeping. He snores. Snore means to breathe in a very noisy way while you are sleeping, like just like that. Okay, he snores and his eyes are covered with a turban on his head. The bullocks move with their heads down by themselves, and the bulbul is worried and filled with fear. She fears, Bulbul is feared that what happen if the cart stumbles? What happen if the hookah of its driver overturn and then the entire forest could catch fire? She was worried. Bulbul was very much worried, and Bulbul imagines the forest is already on fire. Bulbul wants to hasten to her nest where she has kept her chicks. She wants to meet her chicks but cannot lift her legs out of fear. Children, let's recall the rest of the poem and try to answer these questions. Okay? Who is sleeping? Bulbul, poetess or cart driver? Yes, cart driver is sleeping. Next question is, why is the bulbul afraid and why does the bulbul hasten to its nest? Yes, the bulbul is afraid because the forest is in the throes of terror. The forest is in danger and there is a fearful silence all around, and in this silence the bulbul hears some sound, and these sounds are the sound of wheels and the sound of the crackling of leaves. The bulbul hastens to its nest, want to move towards its nest in order to take care of its four fledglings, in order to take care of its chicks which are hungry and alone in the nest. Clear? Now the next question is, what does the bulbul imagine? Bulbul imagines the forest on fire. Now the next question is, why is a poem named Cart Driver? Yes, actually it is the cart driver's irresponsible behavior that petrifies the bulbul. The poet conveys his message through the folly of the cart driver. From the beginning, we also see the mother bird work hard to feed her young ones, but it is only at the arrival of the cart driver that we come to know the extent of love a mother has for the children. Therefore, the poem has been named Cart Driver. Children, let's move and discuss literary devices. Do you know what makes a simple poem an interesting and a good poem? Yes, these are literary devices which makes an ordinary poem a good poem. Now the question is, what is literary device? I know that you have studied earlier about these literary devices. It's okay, but let me explain you again. Please listen it carefully. Literary devices are techniques that writers use to create a special effect in their writing to convey information or to help readers understand their writings on a deeper level. These devices highlight important concepts in a text and help readers connect to the characters and themes. There are number of literary devices used by the poets like simile, metaphor, alliteration, symbolism, anaphora, etc. But in this poem, the literary device used by the poet is imagery. So, what do you understand by imagery? Imagery is the act of using language to create images in the reader's mind. Writers use descriptive words and phrases to help the reader feel like they are wherever the writer wants them to be. Basically, the writer is trying to create a mental image for the reader through the words they choose. Actually, they want to create a picture through words in the mind of the reader. Clear? So, the images are the pictures produced in the mind by the use of typical words. Children, an easy way to spot imagery in our text is to pay attention to words, phrases and sentences that connect with your senses like smell, taste, touch and sound. That's because writers know that in order to capture our readers' attention, they need to engage with them mentally, physically, and emotionally. Since imagery is designed to connect a reader to a text, it's one of the most powerful tools a writer has to communicate their themes and messages. Dear children, you might have noticed some underlined words while we are reciting and discussing the poem in detail. And these words are the images used by the poet in the poem. And these words are like fearful silence of the forest, sound of pause, ears prick to pick, throes of fear, bulbul trembles, the bulbul hides itself in the bushes, hookah overturns, the forest on fire, cannot lift its legs. Dear students, these are the words used by the poet as images in the poem. So, your question is, what images does the poet use to create an atmosphere of fear and silence in the poem? Now you can give the answer. Okay, and the answer is the following images in the poem are used by the poet. Number 1 is fearful silence of the forest, ears pick to pick some sound, throes of fear, hookah overturns, can't lift its leg, sound of pause, bulbul trembles, the bulbul hides in the bushes. So these are the images used by the poet to create an airy, hair-raising atmosphere. Clear? Now let's move. Central idea. What is the central idea of the poem? Children, the poem Cart Driver is a wonderful poem written by Padma Sachdev, a beautiful lady. The poem talks about the love that a mother has for her children. It is an atmosphere of mystery that creates fear and dread. The bulbul feels the danger of fire in the forest in the poem. To save her fledglings, to save her chicks, she wants to rush to them. But she finds herself unable to move or fly out of fear. So this is the central idea of the poem. Children, it's time for home assignment. And you have to write the answer of this question. So the question is, have you ever feared anything either in the reality or in your imagination? If yes, you have to write an account of your feelings in 300 words. Okay? Okay, children. I hope you understand today's session. Take care. One advice for you, always love and respect your mother. Thank you.